So my cat has been sound asleep beside me the entire morning, and now that I have started talking, she just has to come in and get her camera time. So she'll blend in with my black sweater. Don't worry about it. You'll barely notice her. I will, because she will bite my beard, but we'll be fine. Anyway, so oh yeah, no, there we go. Leaving already. And stepping on the keyboard. That's going to be helpful. Okay, so this NHL season, and anytime with this job, really, with previews and stuff like that, it doesn't help to come on and say, I don't know. That was one thing I was told very early on in my career, is like, you say I don't know a lot. Just, like, don't do that. And I still think I say I don't know a fair amount, but I do try to, you want to come down one side or the other, and so let's lock in. These are the things that I think. But I still have enough humility and grace, really, that I am aware that I could be wrong on some shit. And so today, I hope you're not adjusting the volume while you're doing that. So today, we are going, what a shit show to start, going to be starting with a look at the things that I am worried I am wrong about in the National Hockey League this season. So, number 5. Hey, Bailey Bellow says below. Number 5. The impact of the better situation out in Utah. I have been saying on here for a little bit that I think the Utah Yeti HC Jazz team will have a really good opportunity to make the postseason this year. I thought that they had a very good team that was ready to take a step last year, and then, where are you going to live? Why does this arena suck so bad? Hey, what are your thoughts on Salt Lake City? Have you ever thought of Salt Lake City before in your life? All of these different things start to come up. It causes a bit of a distraction. They lose like 13 games in a row, and everything goes to hell very, very quickly. They're not going to have that this year. I'm going to assume they're not moving out of Utah year one. That would be quite the thing. And if it is, whatever. That is going to be a very tricky team to figure out. But I do think that this is a team that has quite a bit of talent. They go out and acquire Sergachev. There's always already a lot of young pieces there that you feel very excited about. And so I think that Utah is going to take a step this year. But I am worried that I am just kind of whistling past the graveyard when it comes to some of the struggles and just assuming none of them were hockey related and all of them were life distraction oriented. So I am worried that I'm just going to be wrong about that. Where is salt in Lake City? I'm sure they have salt everywhere in Salt Lake City. I've never been. It seems like a lovely place, though. They had an Olympics. Number 4, maybe the Rangers just aren't as good as I think they are. I'm not unique in the thought that the New York Rangers are going to be a very good hockey team this year, but I do think that this is a group that is ready for a run towards the Stanley Cup. And I'm a little bit worried, though, as time goes on, and it just doesn't really click ever. And they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. So this isn't a bum of a hockey team or anything like that, but they also didn't play great in the playoffs, right? Like they got, whether it was a timely goal at a right time, like they were kind of outplayed soundly throughout many parts of games against like Carolina and stuff like that. And they just happened to keep winning those games. And so that has kind of stuck with me in the back of my mind, is that maybe this team's window is closing a little bit more rapidly than I think it is. And so that kind of concerns me a little bit. And number 3, the development of the kids in Montreal. I have said that like my breakout players list had 2 players on the Habs on it, with Cole Caulfield breaking out from already being a breakout. I think that he moves into superstar status this year. And Uri Slavkovsky, I think, takes a big jump in Montreal this season. Those are the kids, Bello, that I am talking about. Those are the guys that I think have an opportunity. And like another year of Nick Suzuki, I think on the blue line, they have a couple of guys, Gouli and such, that have an opportunity to progress a little bit. But there is also, again, the thought of, everyone has thought, like Buffalo has been waiting for that breakout for like 4 years. Ditto in Ottawa. And Detroit to a certain extent, although they were actually in the playoff race until the last day of the regular season this last year. So I am thinking that Montreal's talent is good enough that they can kind of jump the line a little bit, but if that talent doesn't take the big jump in the way that I think it does, and probably specifically in net, then this team isn't going to have the big advances that I think they're going to have. And me having Montreal in basically every list that I have done previewing the season this year will have been an entire waste of time. At 2, Markstrom being the missing piece in New Jersey. We have all talked about it. You see the hat, based out here in Calgary, talked about the Markstrom trade ad nauseum. By the way, if you want a full breakdown of that, if you just want a nice refresher, Game Over Calgary, I have a video up on the Game Over Calgary YouTube channel. So just go check that one out and check out the preseason reaction there from me. But quick recap, last year, trade deadline, I said that New Jersey had a chance to win the Stanley Cup if they made a move to go out and get Tanev and Markstrom from the Flames. They decided to get none of them, instead getting Jake Allen, which did not lead to even playoffs, let alone a run toward the Stanley Cup. But now they make the big acquisition in the offseason for Shea. They go out and get Jacob Markstrom, who, to Deeds' point, also, hello Deeds, Markstrom, fantastic mask. Elite mask game. We don't have enough good masks. I think we need to talk about that a little bit more. I shouldn't say that. We have some good masks. We don't have a lot that stand out. We don't have a lot of unique. I feel like we need to focus on these a little bit more. Anyway, I'm rambling. I feel like Markstrom's the missing piece in New Jersey. I feel like this is a guy who, when he is at his best, is the type of goaltender that this team needs to get them to the promised land. Like, I genuinely think New Jersey is in that circle of teams that can win the Stanley Cup this year. And so, there are a few ways I can be wrong in that. A, that's really hard to do, just in general. Being a team that can win the Stanley Cup, there are but a few of them. And so, like, there's a lot of gap between where they were and where I think they can be, and a lot can go wrong in this spot here. We are coming off of a season where Jacob Markstrom was very good. That was coming off of a season where Jacob Markstrom was really bad. And goalies tend to not, at his age, tend to not just, oh yeah, no, bad season, rock it up again, here we go. That tends to not be the case. So there is absolutely a world where Markstrom isn't as good as I think he is. This team isn't as good as they think they are. Already, Hughes dealing with an injury out there. Also, the East, quite good. And that division, at least at the top, quite good. And so there are a few ways where that one kind of goes wrong. And I'm a little bit concerned about that. And the number one thing I am worried about in the NHL previews this year, Steven Stamkos' impact on leaving the Tampa Bay Lightning. I have come on here a number of times and said, also, when I pop in at 960 when they let me, I have said that people are kind of sleeping on the impact Steven Stamkos had on Tampa Bay. And I know for a bit being like, Steven Stamkos, kind of underrated. No one's talking about how good this guy is. That seems a little extreme. But I do think that there comes a point where, okay, he's old, he's heading toward free agency, it's just going to be a whatever, he's actually not that good, he's just a veteran guy, and we just remember the good old days. You tend to, once a guy hits a certain age, and quite frankly, a point in their contract, you start to be like, okay, yeah, whatever. And he's also had the injury issues, right? So I think people just kind of write off what Stamkos can do. But 2 40-goal seasons in the last 3 years is nothing to scoff at. And I still think he's a better hockey player than Jake Gensel is. And so while maybe this does set them up long-term a little bit better out in Tampa Bay, I think that this year there's going to be a bit of an adjustment and there's going to be a bit of a step back. And I also think that there was an emotional component to this out in Tampa Bay. And like CJ brought up on his show with Julian, I think it was a week ago, I'm behind. But talking about how Vasilevsky was like, yeah, tell Stam. I've already told Stamkos, like, just be kind on the one goal you get on me this year, because he's definitely going to get one, and all this stuff. Like they're waxing poetic about him, and I worry that all of that is going to kind of damage things out in Tampa a little bit. I'm also worried that I've maybe gone a little bit too hard on the Jake Gensel isn't Steven Stamkos thing. I don't want it to seem like I think Jake Gensel is dog shit, and he is just the Ensign Carter out there with the Sedin twins, and not that Ensign Carter was dog shit, but you know what I mean. That he's just this overrated whatever who just happened to have good line mates. That's not the case. Gensel is quite good at the sport of hockey, and thusly I think he is going to have probably some pretty good years, pretty good games this year with Tampa Bay, and probably put up some pretty big point totals. But I do think that there is a step back coming for the Tampa Bay Lightning. I missed this in the last part, so apologies, Deeds. Wolf needs to get the Trevor Kidd treatment and have a wolf instead of a dragon on his mask. The backplate could be a moon. Yeah, how do you not? Right? Like, and even like with the Flames, you could have a fiery moon, but like a subtly fiery moon. Not the moon is on fire, but just like a subtle fire in there and all of that. There's definitely something there. And Deeds also saying Sabres and Devils in the playoffs, Lightning and Islanders are out. I would agree. The Sabres one, I can't get there just yet with the Sabres. We'll get into the full team previews in a little bit, next week probably. I think they need a little bit more offense, and the goaltending needs to not scare me as much. But they definitely could. Like, there is a number of different universes where that team makes the playoffs this year.